this is Jake D33 here, bringing you another one of my paranormal true stories. These stories are always true, and they are always genuine, and they're always my story. With that, let's hop into it. So, last time I told you about my first Ouija board experience. This time, I'm going to jump because really the other Ouija board experiences I had ended up having at one point the ghost or entity had messed with my friend's hair. That was pretty cool. Bunch of knocks. Honestly, we would be able to get it to do what we wanted it to do on tap. At the same time, there was the same name that was pulling up. Every time we asked what the name of this thing was, this same name would always show up. I looked up the name and there was no name of demons of it or anything like that. So, weren't so sure about all that. I ended up getting a little bit more later on, but let's hop into it. So, the last story of the Ouija board, the last thing that happened to me. At this point, me and my friends, we had already done a lot with it, and I was done with it, trying to leave it alone, until one of my buddies wanted to go over to this it was a cab company, but he was going to find this girl that he had hooked up with before, and he's going to find her. And I get there, and I was just kind of like the third wheel, and then come to find out, whenever we get there, she has a 12-year-old cousin that is also with her. And he brings up the Ouija board is in the back of my car. Wonderful. So, he winds up saying, "Oh yeah, get that thing out. Let's do that. Let's do that right in here." Okay. So I go grab it, bring it back in, and I tell him, I'm not going to touch it, because whenever I touch it, things are going to start happening. That's how it always happens. I was like, you got to put in positive energy into this thing to be able to make it to work. If you're too skeptical about it, then it's just not going to work, period. It's like the negative energy from one person will just negate everything and it won't do anything. Now, the 12-year-old and my buddy were trying to do the thing first, and nothing was happening. I could see that the 12-year-old really, really wanted something to happen. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hop on this. I said, you, my buddy, get off of this. I'm going to do this just to show this kid that this stuff works and that he really shouldn't mess with it. So, put my hand on the planchette, and we asked if something was there, went up to yes. Then I asked the kid, what else do you want to ask it? And he said, ask it if it'll do something. Of course, with my less better judgment, I said, okay, that's probably one of the worst things you can ask it, but let's go ahead and ask it. Now, to preference what happens next. My friend and the girl are behind the 12-year-old. They're making out or whatever. There are leaves that me and my buddy had tracked into the place. There is a bathroom to the left of me. That bathroom completely opened up. No lights on. And we have plenty of light coming down. Then behind me is the door to the other part of the cab company place. The grandma of the girl owned the cab company. So she's in there, the grandma is. Now, I ask if it'll do something. It says yes. Now, the girl, she's like, at first she thought that it was going to swerve off of yes and go to no, and she's like, yes, it's going to say no. And I was like, well, sometimes and then it comes off of yes and then back on to yes. And I was like, yeah, it does that. And then we're sitting there and we're completely silent, looking around, listening for anything happening. And then the leaves from behind my friend and the girlfriend, or were the girl, whatever. The leaves that were behind them that we had tracked in, thrown up into the air. We hear footsteps come running past us. The door to the bathroom is grabbed and slammed shut. The lights to the bathroom turn on, and then we just hear inside this bathroom. We're at this point, we all have jumped up off the ground and we're all backed up against the wall, like, what the fuck is going on with this? And as this is all happening, the grandma comes charging in and she's like, what the fuck is going on in here? And we're all just like, how are you supposed to explain what just happened there? And then once she opens that door and she yells, everything stops. It all stopped immediately. So once it all stopped, I slowly walked to that bathroom door, open it up, and everything from every cabinet, from every drawer, anything that could have been opened up was open, and everything that was inside those cabinets or inside those drawers was all piled up into the middle of the room in like a nice little pile. It wasn't just all thrown into the middle. It was like it intentionally tried to make a stack up in this bathroom. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, there is some wicked stuff going on in here. Like, if that could have been on video, there's no, you couldn't have faked it. There was no way of making something like that happen the way that it happened like that. It was truly, that, like I said, that was the moment that I said, okay, I'm done with it, and didn't mess with the Ouija board again after that. That was the final straw. Ouija boards are scary, guys. I will say this, they also have a lot of bad luck with them, because like I said, I left the Ouija board in my car always. My car was hit so many times without me being in it, but it was hit multiple times with nobody in it and in a good spot. There was no reason why it should have gotten hit, but it would get hit by someone. That might have just been a weird coincidence, but it was strange. Nonetheless, guys, that's what I got for my Ouija board stories. I know there's a lot more that I could have put into all these Ouija board stories, but I didn't want to bore you. So this here was that was the big one. There was a lot going on there. I saw my friend a couple of years later after that, and I saw him at a bar, and I was like, do you remember what happened that night? And he goes, man, why you gotta bring that up? He says, I try to forget about that, because he's like, I don't try to believe in the afterlife, and he's like, and that blows everything out of the water. So, what do you guys think? You guys like, subscribe, comment. You guys have a good one.